Bismillah walhamdulillah wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah and alhamdulillah nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina man yahdihillah fala mudilla lahu wa man yudlil fala hadiya lahu. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. After this, فإن خير الكلام كلام الله وخير الهدى هدى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. الناقد العاشر, the 10th nullifier is الإعراض عن دين الله تعالى لا يتعلمه ولا يعمل به إلى آخره. The 10th nullifier from the nullifiers of Al-Islam, that if a person were to fall into this or this description is applicable to him, then he goes outside the religion of Islam, even if he considers himself a Muslim, is al-i'rad in dinillah, the one who turns away from the religion of Allah. He doesn't learn it. He doesn't consider it important. He just is there and he turns away. Spends no time trying to learn the religion. He doesn't know what's up, what's down, what's sunnah, what bid'ah, what's tawheed, what's shirk. He has no idea what the religion is. And as you all know, there are many people who we know who are like that, especially those of us who have relatives who are Muslims, or those of us who have traveled to Muslim countries where the animosity and the enmity and the hatred that Muslims give you when you try to tell them aspects of their deen, about the tawheed of Allah, the correct aqidah, how to pray. You tell someone, this is what the Prophet did in his prayer, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he's so confused that he'll say to you, is this something that your sheikh brought? Is this something from your madhab? Is this the Salafiyah stuff? You tell him, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told the Muslims, "Man wafaqa ta'minahu," whoever says Ameen, "Man wafaqa ta'min al-Imam." When the Imam says Ameen and your Ameen coincides with his and the Malaika, you'll be forgiven for your sins. The hadith is in the books of hadith. When you tell him that, he'll say, is that Salafiyah stuff that you guys are upon? Is that your madhab? And he turns away from the religion. You tell him, don't make dua to the Prophet, ya akhi, my beloved brother, don't make dua to the Nabi. He doesn't know the ilm al-ghayb, unseen. He doesn't have power like that. He's not to be worshipped like that. He'll say to you, is that what your Imam told you? Is that what your madhab told you? Is that Salafiyah stuff that you're on? So he turns away from the truth when it comes to him. May Allah Azza wa Jal help us, help our ummah, help all of us to be better Muslims. Before getting into the explanation of the 10th nullifier, this is the second book that we would have completed in this masjid. The first is the classical book, As-Sunnah by Imam Ahmed. Second one is this book by this tremendous scholar, who was not like Imam Ahmed, but he was on his madhab, rahimahumullah. But nonetheless, it's one of the most beneficial books in Al-Islam. Leave me, utrukni, da'ni. Leave me from that. Is this what your Imam said? Is this what Al-Albani said? Is this what Salafi said? Man, leave me from that, brother. Open your eyes and stop being like that. The shaitan, he wants to lead all of us astray. This book is a classic work that, wallahi, I get close to Allah teaching this book. The second book in our masjid. By teaching this book and by you learning this book, is that a pass for all of us to go to Jannah? Wallahi, no. No, we have to work by this stuff. But I'm muftakhir, I'm proud. We're not coming here teaching books of the Ash'a'ira, teaching the books of the Sururis, teaching books of the people of the Tashayyur, teaching books of nonsense. This is a book of the Minhaj al-Salafi, the Aqidah al-Salafiyah. And as I said in most of the classes, it is as if the Shaykh Rahmatullah alayhi was living in our time. Ma aktharu. Since we did the naqd of the one who makes istihza in the religion, since we did that one, I have a student here who always send me stuff saying, is this istihza of the religion? And his question, he wasn't asking because it was clear. This is istihza with the religion. Brothers and sisters playing video games and making istihza, just istihza, left, right, and center. So it is a book that is connected to our reality. As for those of us who are Salafi and we're trying to spread the knowledge of a Salafiyah, I make that point to say we have to read the room and we have to be connected to the reality of our people. Masjid As-Sunnah, we have a reality here, and that we have core community members or Ahlul Hadith. Then we have many people in our community who are on the way. And then we have people in our community who are on that Deen of their fathers, their ajdad. So what are we going to do? Talk about books that are above the heads of the people in the masjid? We're going to give our presentation in a way to make those people who have not been blessed, as we've been blessed, to understand the importance of Salafiyah, the balance of Islam. We're just going to talk to you. We don't just talk to you. We have to talk to everybody in our community. Our community first. Our family first. Our family. Anyone from amongst us who wants to give sadaqah, he wants to give education, he wants to make jihad in Gaza, Syria, here or there, at the expense of losing his own family, la majnoon, jahil, ba'id, and as-sawab. You're far away. The best sadaqah and the best dinar that you can spend is on your own family. Your own family. So again, I want to mention this. In this masjid, I am muftakhir that we taught the first book of Sunnah of Imam Ahmed. It's a basic, simple, easy book for the Muslim to know what is the way that those companions were upon and what makes a person Salafi or not with those usul. So when we have people expelling people from a Salafiyah, we ask, what did he do to put him out of Salafiyah? We don't want to hear the answer, oh, she married a person who we don't agree with. What are you talking about? She married a person you don't agree with. What are you talking about? Not our religion. So the 10th naqd is the one who makes al-i'rad, turns away from the deen, turns away from the teachings. He doesn't teach, he doesn't learn. From the adillah, the proofs that show this, is the ayat that the Shaykh brought himself, rahmatullahi alayhi, Allah Ta'ala said, وَمَنْ أَظْلَمُ مِمَّنْ ذُكِّرَ بِآيَاتِ رَبِّهِ ثُمَّ أَعْرَضَ عَنْهَا إِنَّا مِنَ الْمُجْرِمِينَ مُنْتَقِمُونَ. Allah said, and He sent down in the blessed month of Ramadan from above the 7 heavens, where He's over His arush in a way that befits His majesty. And whoever makes i'rad, he turns away from the remembrance of the ayat of Allah. He turns away from them. When he's reminded of them, who's more oppressive than that one? Allah said, verily, the criminals, whoever does that is a criminal. And Yawm al-Qiyamah, we're going to get intiqam. Allah Azza wa Jalla is going to get revenge from him. Allah created all of us, gave us a religion, and sent us a Nabi, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And He said about His religion, لَيْلُهَا كَنَهَارِهَا لَا يَزِيغُ عَنْهَا إِلَّا هَالِكٌ. This religion, its nighttime is like its daytime. No one would forsake it except he's going to be punished. The religion of Islam 1,400 years ago, more than that, He made hijrah from Mecca to Medina, and now that was the daytime. Now we're 1,400 years later. We can still know our religion right today. Just follow the way of those companions, not the way of Al-I'tizal, the Mu'tazila, the Ash'a'ira, the Ma'turidiyya. There's Ghulu and Sufism, the Ikhwan Muslimin and politics and all that stuff. And as I mentioned many times, many of the Muslim groups have an aspect of Al-Islam. We have to bring the totality of the religion together. The totality of the religion. And the way the Prophet went about spreading it, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the ayah says, and who is more oppressive than the one who is reminded of the ayat of his Lord, and then he turns away from those ayat. Al-i'rad, turning away, of 2 types. And this is important, man. It's of 2 types. The i'rad, where a person turns away and rejects the ayat and the dalil, tadayyunan. Religiously, he does it. He says, I don't accept that. I'm not doing that. That's the first one. The second one is the one who turns away, inadan. He does it because he is stubborn. He's arrogant, mutakabbir, jahil, ignorant. He doesn't know his elbow from his ankle bone, and he's being authoritative. You're a brand spanking new Muslim, man. What do you know? Fall back and calm down. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? It is a sickness that you find. A woman who doesn't know what to do as it relates to the details of her periods, akramakumullah. And then she jumps out on Front Street talking, and she doesn't know her elbow from her ankle bone. Or any person, a brand spanking new Muslim. He was in Jahiliyyah, wilding out, doing his thing, living his life. Allah blessed him with Islam. Maybe he was in prison and maybe he wasn't. But he comes and he's authoritative, an authority. And wallahi, if the noon as sakina hit him in his head, he doesn't know that that's the noon as sakina. He doesn't know the difference between Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim in the Basmala. He doesn't know the difference between Allah being Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. And he says it all the time. And yet, he is authoritative. So 2 types of i'rad. The first one is the i'rad that a person makes religiously. The second one is the i'rad that a person makes out of stubbornness and arrogance. The one who makes al-i'rad and he turns away religiously, don't make takfir of him, man. We said this in every single class. Do not make takfir of a Muslim bi'aynihi. You're a kafir, because he fell into one of these 10. Don't make takfir of him. Not your job, number one. And number two, this is not revelation from the sky. Number three, it needs explanation and details for each individual. So it would be oppressive that anyone who made istihza, he didn't know or he didn't mean it, anyone who is helping the non-Muslims and making mudahara for the non-Muslims over the Muslims, he does that. You don't just make takfir of that individual. So you can bring the truth to a person. You can say, Raf'ul Yadayn in 4 places is from the Sunnah by the Lord of the Kaaba. May my mother and my father be sacrificed. But he grew up not doing that. He's Hanafi, he's Maliki, keeps his head down to the side, should put it up here. But that's what he learned as a religion. Then when you give him dawah, one of us says, you're making i'rad, you're a kafir. This is one of the reasons people who act like that and do that, this is what makes ignorant people hate Muhammad Abdul Wahhab. Some of them hate him because he called to Tawheed. And people of shirk hate it when you call to Tawheed. They hate him as a result of that. They hate him. وَإِذَا ذُكِرَ اللَّهُ وَحْدَهُ إِشْمَأَزَّتْ. You know, if you mention worship Allah alone, make dua to Allah, they become angry and upset because they want to call on Rasulullah and other than that. Other than that. Ishma'azzat qulubahum. They hate it. But another reason why they hate him is because people who push his knowledge, they give it to people the wrong way. You got to be gentle. Got to take it easy. So al-i'rad is a tadayyun. You bring it to him, he says, that's not my madhab. I don't believe that's right. I don't believe that the niqab is wajib. He's not turning away from the issue of niqab. He has other dalil, other proofs. He says, I don't agree with that point of view. I don't agree that you should pray like that. I don't agree that I should put my feet next to yours. Although it is authentic that we all should be putting our feet together. It's authentic. I come in this masjid for a whole year telling people sitting in the back, move up, move up, move up, move up. They don't move up. Some people don't move up. I'm going to say, you people are making i'rad. No. They're tired. They're ignorant. They're shy to get up. Whatever the case may be. So they reject what you're saying religiously. I don't believe that hadith is right. I didn't learn it that way. I'm tired. I don't want to do it. I'm tired. I don't want to get up. I'm shy. You don't pronounce takfir on him and say you fell into a naqid from the nawaqid of al-Islam. The second type of i'rad is the one that the sheikh is talking about. When a person turns away out of arrogance and ignorance, al-inad. You tell him, the truth comes to him, and they don't accept it. Because in their hearts is a disease, and Allah increases them in the disease. From those ayat, and there are many, is what Allah mentioned, فَأَعْرَضَ أَكْثَرُهُمْ فَهُمْ لَا يَسْمَعُونَ. The majority of those non-Muslims, they turned away when Rasulullah came and gave them dawah to Tawheed and to the religion. Most of them, they're not going to listen. They don't want to listen. They put their fingers in their ear, they get up, they run away, they compete with what's being said, and they hate it because of some disease that is in their heart. This is talking about that individual. Allah mentioned the ayat that we mentioned multiple times. Anyone who opposes the messenger after the knowledge comes to him. وَمَنْ يُشَاقِقِ الرَّسُولِ. Anyone who opposes him after the guidance comes to him and he chooses a way other than the believers, I'm not listening to that. I'm not listening to what Muhammad is saying. We're living in a time right now where people want to be very liberal, very liberal. People don't want to be mutaqayyidun. We have to be people who are under being tied to the rope of stay within the bounds of what the companions did. Stay in the perimeter of what scholars of Islam said with dalil. Nobody could say, hum rijal wa nahnu rijal. They're men and we're men. And I heard that recently. I never forget it. I went to Raleigh, North Carolina a few months ago, and a revert brother told me that. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. What do you say to a person who was raised down south, no knowledge of the Deen, after being a Christian, believing Jesus and all that is the Son of Allah, all of that, and now he came to the realization of Al-Islam, but he never learned anything just from his own head. And he says, I'm like Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman and Ali. I can come up with my own fiqh, my own ijtihad. So if I come to the conclusion that the jinn are bad thoughts and the malaika are good thoughts, there's no such thing as jinn, the creation. No such thing as malaika, the creation. It's your good thoughts in your back. Where did you get that from? Hum rijal wa nahnu rijal. They're men and women. We say, no, you're on a way of being destroyed. From those adillah is what Allah Ta'ala mentioned as well. وَمَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْ ذِكْرِي فَإِنَّ لَهُ مَعِيشَةً ضَنْكًا. Anyone who turns away from the remembrance of Allah, his deen, he's going to have a tough life. And Yawmul Qiyamah, his hayat is going to be aswa. In that hadith of Munkar and Nakir, who we took from the book As-Sunnah, those two angels will come and sit the person up, and they would ask him, what was your deen? Who was your Lord? What was your deen? What did you have to say about that man? The person who was a believer, he learned his religion. Al-i'rad. He didn't learn his religion. He turned away. He didn't learn. He didn't get committed. He was just like these Jews and these Christians. I'm a Jew, I'm a Christian. I go get a job. When I have to fill out the application, what's your ethnic? I'm black, African American. You're a man or a woman? I'm a man. What's your religion? You say, I'm a Muslim, that's it. But he doesn't know anything about Al-Islam other than the name Al-Islam. That's all he knows. Wallahi, that's all he knows. And as a result of that, listen to this, nonsense, madness. Someone sent me yesterday a thing off of the internet. It sound like artificial intelligence, where that guy with that voice was saying, Ya Ummatul Islam, if you want to get the most out of Ramadan, then give sadaqah to these 3 animals. If you give sadaqah to these 3 animals, your Ramadan will be accepted and you're guaranteed Jannah. And he started talking a lot of kalam. Only because a member of the community sent it to me, I kept listening. If it wasn't for that, I don't have time to listen to that madness. I don't have the time to listen to that madness. We've been fasting since 1986. You never heard of a hadith ever in your life. If you feed these 3 animals, your Ramadan is going to be successful. You're going to go to Jannah. What are you talking about? And suddenly, in 2025, first time you hear this, and now you want to send that to me and say, is this authentic? You can send it to me. I'm going to tell you, and I'll listen to it for you. But the point is, how can we be Muslims all this time and we get that stuff? Hocus pocus. 3 animals. And I'm not even going to tell you what the 3 animals are. I'm not even going to tell you. What kind of religion is that? If I looked in this audience, I said, have you people in the month of Ramadan heard of the door of Ar-Rayyan for the fasters? What are you going to say? Have you people ever heard in the month of Ramadan that there's Laylatul Qadr is better than 1,000 months? What are you going to say? If I said to you, finally, you people right here, anyone who breaks someone else's fast in the month of Ramadan, they'll get the reward of their fast. Any of you heard that? Yeah. So now someone comes, 2025. You never heard this before. Whoever feeds these 3 animals, you're going to go to Jannah. Well, I never heard that before. So I got to be, some level of suspicion has to be on the table. We don't judge, accept, and reject hadith based upon what you heard, what you didn't hear. But all this time you've been a Muslim, never heard that before, right away, the bells have to go off. So in that hadith of Munkar and Nakir, when the person asks, who's your Lord? What's your religion? What did you have to say about that man who came? Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The believer is going to say, my Lord is Allah, my religion is Al-Islam, and he is Muhammad ibn Abdullah, Rasulullah, Abdullahi wa Rasuluhu, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The munafiq, he'll say, I don't know. I turned away. I didn't learn. I didn't make my ears and put them in a position to hear this religion, ever. So it'll be said, and there's the point, you didn't read. You didn't read. You didn't learn. As a result of that, you didn't come to know. You never learned. So all of those adillah, and there are many about the evil of turning away. But who is this talking about? The one who turns away out of arrogance. And he turns away as well as a result of being stubborn. So it's the religious obligation, ethical obligation of every Muslim. He has to learn his deen in order to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to practice religion with knowledge. What Allah ordered us to do, what Allah prohibited us from, we have to learn about who Allah is, who He isn't, what He does, what He doesn't do, the Tawheed of Allah. We have to learn about the 5 arkan of Al-Islam, the basics that are connected to them. You ask the Muslim today, what are the 5 arkan, pillars of Islam? If you say arkan, doesn't know arkan. All right, no problem. Arabic is not our language. Although that's one of the words that should be in our vocabulary. What are the 5 arkan? He doesn't know arkan. If he were to say the 5 arkan, they will be all over. He'll start with Hajj, Som, Zakat, Salat, and Hijab. Hijab is a rukn from the arkan of it. Wallahi, this is how it is. The 5 arkan of, what are the 6 arkan of al-Iman? Muslim has to learn the basics. You know this adhan of al-Islam. It's not okay for any Amr, Bakr, Zayd from this masjid to get up and give the adhan. And the way we're giving the adhan is that we're changing the meaning of the adhan and we're saying things that make the adhan that you're giving inappropriate. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. What Allah Akbar? What is that? Take your time. Read, listen. With this internet, the adhan has a lot of rewards in it. It's easy. It's easy. Learn the adhan the correct way and make the adhan. And we are people who are non-Arabs, our Arabic. We're not Arabs, myself included. So we pronounce things the wrong way. Allah's Ghafur Rahim Al-Latif Al-Halim. All of that. But we still have a responsibility for those basic principles of this deen that is being eroded little by little during this time. So the Muslim has to learn his religion. He turns away from his religion and he's mu'min. He has taqsir, lazy, ghafla, kaslan, all of that. We say this is not talking about you. You don't go outside of Islam. But nonetheless, it is a big sin in the deen. Before concluding, inshallah, I want to put emphasis on these issues right here. Before concluding this book, number 10. Number 10. The Shaykh, the Imam Muhammad Abdul Wahab, he said, anyone who goes against these 10 nawaqid, if he is playing, he's hazil, or if he is jad, he's serious, or he is khaif, he goes outside of the religion. If he says one of these things and he's making istihza of the religion and he's not really believing that, he's just joking, he said, you go outside of religion. Or if you're serious. If you're joking, you're serious, or if you're afraid. I want to clarify this right now. I don't agree open-ended with what he said here, and this is why we're going to explain the book. If a person is afraid and he falls into one of these things and he's afraid, he goes outside of the religion, we say no. The fears are on different levels. He's afraid of the non-Muslims, but he's just afraid, but the fear is just in his head. إِنَّمَا ذَلِكُمُ الشَّيْطَانُ يُخَوِّفُ أَوْلِيَاءُهُ. A shaitan just makes a person afraid. The lady becomes a Muslim and she's reluctant, afraid to put hijab on because people are going to laugh at me. What are they going to do? Nobody's going to do anything to her. So that fear is just her in her head. Go ahead and put your hijab on, sister. Allah is going to help you. Allah is going to make it easy for you. It's that fear that's a problem. That is the fear. But if someone comes to you and to say, he forces you to say, to agree with one of these 10 nawaqid, he forces you. He says to you, I'm going to take your job. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to hurt you. I'm going to deport you. I'm going to this, that. He's afraid and he makes intiqad. He said, okay. Then he doesn't go outside of the religion. Which brings me to the point of warning you. Do not take these 10 things that this sheikh said, the imam said, rahmatullah alayhi, and just indiscriminately apply them against people who you meet, from your relatives and the awam. And this is one of the reasons why the sheikh himself was criticized by a number of scholars in al-Islam who were from his contemporaries and who came after him, like al-Imam al-Shawkani, like al-Imam al-Amir al-San'ani, al-Imam. Those people came after them, said the sheikh should have made these things, some of them clear, because he atlaqa al-kalam. He just said this. So if it's like that, without any explanation, it wouldn't be correct. As we mentioned in one of those lessons, which was one of the most important lessons, of Hatim ibn Abi Balta'a, who wrote the letter to the non-Muslims of Quraysh, warning them, Muhammad and his companions, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, radiyallahu anhum, they're coming to get you. And that is helping the non-Muslims against the Muslims. When he did that, they could have prepared themselves and killed Rasulullah and his companions, or some of them, salawatullahi wassalamu alayhim ajma'in wa radiyallahu anhum. But he didn't go outside of the religion. The Prophet even defended him. So these things have to be explained. The other thing is, if a person falls into these 10 things, being serious or joking, the fear that he's not excused from, the fear that's in his head, he goes outside, except the one who is mukrah, the one who is forced and compelled. The one who is forced and compelled. إِلَّا مِنْ أُكْرِهَا وَقَلْبُهُ مُطْمَئِنٌ بِالْإِيمَانِ. As Allah exempted Yasir, Ammar ibn Yasir, may Allah be pleased with both of them, who says some words of kufr because the non-Muslim forced him. Like the Muslim women who were forced to do zina. The Muslim slave women who were forced to do zina, akramakumullah, in order to get money for their owners, and they were forced and compelled. Allah exempted those people. The one who is compelled, he says something against the religion. Allah has overlooked, as the Prophet says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the mistakes that my ummah makes, forgetfulness that my ummah falls into, and the thing that they were forced to do. So if someone falls into any of these 10 out of compulsion, then with compulsion, as the ulama of al-usul, they always tell us, they always write, Al-mashaqqatu tajribu at-taysir. When things get difficult and they become very, very, very difficult, Al-Islam opens up for you and Allah makes a way for you. Shorten your prayer when you travel. You don't have to fast in the month of Ramadan. If you're going to lose your life, go ahead and go against the religion, save your life and live to see another day. So beware of just taking these statements and applying them on every Amr, Bakr, and Zayd from the people, especially the people you may have an issue with. You have an issue with them. So we keep saying that. Don't take the statements of the Salaf of this Ummah out of context and weaponize them. And for the people who are still not sure, you also better stop messing around and faking a funk and dragging your feet. This religion is simple. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand the basics of Al-Islam. Don't be giving me that stuff. Is this your imam? Is this your madhab? Is this that Salafi stuff? What are you talking about? People tell you this is what the Prophet did, and they show you that. Don't come and say, is this that Salafi stuff? That's an example. Something's wrong with you. Something is wrong with you. So we have to stay away from the two extremes. The extreme of the individual who is reluctant to embrace the truth when it comes to him is clear, and the extreme of the individual who he wants to be on the haq and all that, and he thinks on the haq, and he runs people away because he's applying and understanding these things in the wrong way. So those are the 10 nawaqid of Al-Islam that the Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab brought. So our last class, bi-idhnillah, before the blessed month of Ramadan. May Allah Azza wa Jal cause us to see it. Bis-salam wal-afiyah and as-sihha. I think Friday night is going to be the first salat of a Taraweeh, right? That's possible, right? Because we could be fasting Saturday or Sunday. So inshallah, Friday night can be the first night. So we won't have the back to basics. But if Friday is the 29th and we're fasting Saturday, then we will have back to basics, inshallah, after Salat al-Isha. And we'll have our last meal, the last supper. I don't mean that one, brother. We'll have the last supper, inshallah, before Ramadan. Okay, my brothers, if you brothers have any questions about all of the 10 that we've taken or tonight's lesson, inshallah, or a question about Ramadan, inshallah.